Hey guys, it's Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, where we carry the largest selection of wood flowers in the United States. And today is another Meet the Flower. Alright, you guys, welcome back. And today is a Meet the Flower video. Super excited about this one. It is none other than the lovely Fleur. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I hope I am. It means the flower in French. I love this flower so stinking much. So let's bring you on down. We're gonna do some dyeing techniques. I'm not going to dip dye one of these, but I do have an example so you can see what they look like when they're dip dyed. We're gonna just play. This one's so much fun to play with. All right, let's jump into it. So as I mentioned, we're going to do a whole bunch of different dyeing techniques, but first let me show you what a Fleur looks like dip dyed. And when I say dip dyed, I'm just going to take this right off the stem. When I say dip dyed, what that is about a 50-50 water to paint, whether that be craft acrylic paint or latex paint, with a splash of glycerin added in there just to keep them soft and pliable, manageable, so they don't crack basically. Super, super pretty. So definitely keeps its shape fairly well when it's dip dyed, so you don't need to worry about that. But like most flowers, when it comes to dip dyeing, don't let them sit in the paint water too long, because you might then get some of these outer petals starting to definitely fold out a little bit more and straighten out. So that is it, dip dyed. Let's have a little fun today, shall we? So I've got some watercolors in like a pan over here. I'm gonna get that wet. I also have some craft acrylic paint. We have the color in yellow is Daybreak by Folk Art. The pink is Cameo Pink from Apple Barrel. This is like my ultimate favorite light pink. And the purple is Lilac Meadow from Decor Americana. For these, I'm just gonna shake them up. And I'm gonna grab a container top. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of paint on all sides of this thing. Having a little water bottle, you can add glycerin to it if you want. I just have water in there, is also gonna be helpful. I also, for some reason, grabbed a little pipette. Maybe we'll try it. Maybe we can play with it a little bit. We'll see. So there's my colors as well. We're just gonna play for a little bit. So one of the first things that I like to do, I am gonna spray this down just so that the paint is a little bit easier to work with. Oh, and then I said I was gonna get my, oh, I gotta get more water in my, okay, my watercolors are a little bit wet now too. So what we're gonna do is with a paintbrush, and I do have some water over here, and I just realized I need to get a paper towel. I will in a minute. Oh, let's do the yellow. That could be fun. Okay, so my paintbrush is wet, my flower is wet, and I'm pulling some paint off to the side. So it's not super thick. And I'm just going to scrub it. Scrub it real good. Boom, boom, boom. And then you sing a song that makes no sense, but to yourself. Okay. And now this particular flower, one of the petals is starting to kind of come up. That can happen. It's not a big deal. I just take it off. I figure all flowers are not perfect in real life, in nature, so why would this one be either? Plus, it's handmade, so there's gonna be some little quirks to all of the things that we have. I love doing this kind of style, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna bump it up a notch. And I'm gonna two-tone this, so we're gonna put another color on the tops of the petals. So again, I'm gonna get my little spray bottle, and I'm gonna spray the edges a little bit better. Oops. I think though, for the edges, why don't we use a watercolor instead of, well, no, let's do this. Okay, we'll do watercolor in just a second. And I wanted pink, I think. So again, we're gonna just start popping it up on the tops of the petals. And what you can do is if you're worried about this being, because I'm not using glycerin, once you're done working on the flower and it's fully dried, you can go back in with a spray bottle that has a mixture of glycerin and water and just spray those flowers back down, or those petals back down. Again, because this one isn't going to like lose its shape when it's wet, you'll be good to go. How pretty! All right, let's try something else. Oh, I'm all over the board. I don't even have anything to dry my flowers on. What's wrong with me? I just put it on the table. Okay, here we go. Let's try the watercolor. So here's my little, it's like hard pans of watercolor. And again, I'm gonna get that just a little bit more wet. I need more water in here. Hold on, stand by. I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the same paint brush in the water to clean it off. I'm fine, it's fine. Everything's fine. Let's do purple. Let's do purple. No, I'm gonna spray the flower. I was like, am I? Yeah, I am. Just so I can kind of move those petals around a little bit more. Okay, so the flower's wet, the paint is wet, the brush is wet. So pretty. You definitely want to use, for this kind of technique, if you're doing like good old Crayola watercolor, like, you know, that you used in school, it may not be quite as pigmented as this. Get yourself a decent, it doesn't have to be too expensive, but a decent watercolor palette, pan. And then once I have it in there, I'm gonna fade it out. You might be able to. And if it's dripping some, you can kind of tap it. I'm tapping it on the side just to get some of that paint off. Look how stinking gorgeous this is. I'm gonna try to get my brush in the yellow and swirl that around. So pretty. Okay, let's try another one. Do a bigger guy. The bigger ones are a little bit easier to scrub into than the little guys. So I kind of want to do, I'm gonna grab both some red. I'm just gonna tap that in there. This time we're gonna try to completely cover it, but I'm gonna get that in first because then while it's still wet, I'm gonna pick up some yellow too. And just kind of start making a fiery kind of flower. Now, this is where we get our fingers a little wet and dirty and messy, but I'm gonna pull that color all the way through. So we've got a little bit more here, here. Would it be make more sense to actually clean your brush before you transfer a color? Yes. Yes, it would. Do I do that? No, you just saw what I did. I don't, and I'm spraying myself with water too. Okay. I'm just gonna kind of rub that in. I like that some of this red is peeking through too, so it's not like straight orange. You could bring the color out to the back too if you want. I am going to do this petal because this one's sticking out a little bit to me. And this is where I love where the wood grain kind of comes out. It actually adds to the dimension of the flower that we're working on. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, let's set that guy aside. Let's do one more thing with the craft acrylic paint, shall we? So we did the scrubbing and we already did kind of a top, but let's do the painting of the tips of the flower. Okay, so We're gonna get it wet again. I kind of like the wet on wet techniques. Get my brush wet as well. Pull some of my paint aside. And then I'm just gonna put dots on the tops or tips. And I'm gonna let it just kind of spread out how it wants to spread out. Let the water and the paint do their thing together. Oh goodness, so pretty. And then the edges we're also gonna get. There you go. Easy peasy. Boy, oh boy, isn't she a stunner? Loving this. I hope you do too. All right, you guys, there you have it. The lovely, the wonderful Le Fleur. Again, now these are still a little wet, so they're going to darken up a little bit once they dry. But here is this was using craft acrylic paint in the centers and on the outer edges. Here's the one where we just did the outer edges, playing with a little bit of watercolor. Bet you didn't think watercolor could get that vibrant. Oh, and this one's a stunner. And then of course you can also dip dye the flowers. And just to give you an example, actually I have two. So this one I took off the stem. When it's dip dyed, we love this flower so much. Maggie and I both absolutely adore it. It's just this beautiful opening rose. I love it. So hopefully you love it too. And you can go grab yourself some. If you want to go get yourself some Le Fleurs or any of the other flowers that we carry in the shop, go to ohyourlovely.com. But before you do, use the code YouTube30. Why did I do this? YouTube30 to get 30% off your first order. That includes the flowers, the greenery, and craft supplies we have over there. So check that out. If you're loving these videos, can't get enough, wanna know when the next one goes live, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. And I'll see you right here for another Meet the Flower next week. I'm Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, and you, my friends, are absolutely lovely. Bye, guys.